Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing my sourdough recipe from start to finish with timestamps. So I'm gonna start from feeding my starter a few days prior and taking you through the whole process of making my sourdough bread. Now, I'm definitely not a professional in any way whatsoever, but I'm making some loaves to take home to my family this weekend. I'm going back to Pennsylvania, and I thought it would be fun to show you guys how I make my sourdough bread. Okay, so this is my sourdough starter. Her name is Dolly. She is gorgeous. So what I'm gonna do with her is, she's actually pretty full. If she's gonna double in size, she's gonna come out of this jar. So I'm actually gonna discard half or a third of her. That way when we feed her and she rises, I don't have a giant mess on my counter. And I'm going to very carefully plop some of Miss Dolly out into this jar. A good bit of her, actually. That should be good. I do want to note that you should never dump this stuff down the sink, because when it dries, it is like cement. And I'm just gonna pop the lid on her. So move that over here. We're going to feed her. So my favorite flour, if I'm not balling on a budget, because this is a little bit pricey, is this King Arthur Baking Company flour. It is my absolute favorite. Okay, so we are going to need some water. Make sure it's filtered. If it has chlorine in it or anything, it might kill your starter. So you just want to make sure that it is filtered. So we have our starter here, and I like to start by adding water, and I don't measure. So I'm gonna start by mixing in this water until it's nice and incorporated, and then we're going to add our flour. So like I said, I do not really measure. And the texture that we are looking for is like muffin batter consistency. I find that my starter does better whenever it is a little bit thicker. Yeah, okay. So as you can see, it's getting a little bit more difficult for me to stir. So this is the consistency you're looking for, where it's not like drizzling off this like spoon or whatever you're using to stir. You want it to be thick, like the muffin batter. So I'm gonna just take a damp paper towel and wipe off the edges of my container, and then we will put the lid on. Let's talk about my sourdough journey. My sourdough starter journey started last year in December. My mom asked me what I wanted for my birthday, and I told her that I specifically wanted the Ballerina Farms sourdough starter kit. In my kit, I got 2 proofing baskets, this Weck jar, that wooden spatula that I was using to stir my starter, and then their Willa freeze-dried starter. I waited until I moved into my own place to start my sourdough journey. That way I had my own space. In July, I started to reactivate my sourdough starter that I had gotten. I had to rehydrate it first. So it took a few days of me adding water to it, and then after a few days of that, I was able to add flour to it. And it definitely took a while to get started, but then I started seeing bubbles in it slowly but surely, which is a sign that it's alive. It did not smell good. It smelled like vomit, if I'm being entirely honest. It smelled very bad. So I just kept feeding it though, and I'm not sure what day exact, but I will insert a picture here of what my first loaf of sourdough bread looked like. It was not good, did not rise at all, and I concluded from that my starter was definitely not ready. But weeks later, after feeding it, it was. And I was able to make my second loaf of bread, and I thought it was the best thing ever. Looking back, it wasn't that great. It was a good second loaf, but yeah, I've got it down now, I feel like. So anyways, I made that and I was so proud of myself. It was very yummy. I've had so much fun on this journey learning how to make this bread, and I'm still learning. Every time I make a loaf, I learn. What I'm trying to get at here is that it is just a constant journey of growth, of learning, and I love it. It's so interesting, and the best part is whenever it does work out, you feel so fulfilled because you've had those trials and errors. Anyways, that's basically my sourdough journey that has gotten me up to this point. So around 3 months of learning how to make sourdough bread. So we fed her. It is 2:40 on a Thursday, and she's going to double. And then tomorrow morning, I will discard some more and feed her again. And then Friday night, we will start baking with her. Okay, hello everyone. Happy Friday. It is currently 11:25. And this is what Dolly is looking like. We're going to discard just a little bit, and then we're going to feed her so that she can double in size for when we need to start making our bread tonight. So this is our discard, and we will use it in another recipe. So I have her about a third of the way full. We're gonna pop her over in her spot. We will start the process of making the bread at around maybe 5 o'clock. She usually takes like 4 to 6 hours to double in size. So I will see you guys then. Okay, so here's what happens after 3 hours. She rose to the top, almost overflowed. Okay, so something that you're definitely gonna wanna have is a scale. So I'm gonna put this bowl here, and then we're going to tare the scale. 735 grams of purified water. We're gonna need 350 grams of our starter. So, as you can see, she has created lots of gases. She is looking gorgeous here. We're just gonna do 350 grams. I'm going to add 1,000 grams of flour. Now, I said that I like to use the King Arthur Baking Company's like all-purpose flour to feed it, but I do prefer using the bread flour to bake with. Well, to make the bread. And now this is the fun part, mixing it all up. Working the dough here. So there is our dough for right now. I love using this bowl. It's very convenient because of this lid that it has that goes on top for my dough to rest. So this is going to rest for like an hour and a half maybe, and then we're gonna add the salt. Okay, so it's a little while later. It is 4:47, so it's been about an hour, and that's what my dough's looking like. So we're gonna add 24 grams of sea salt. I weighed this out into the dough here, and I just sprinkle it on top. And then I'm gonna use the same bowl the salt was in and take some of our water that's been filtered, dump that out into the bowl here. And this just helps since my dough isn't It's still a little bit sticky at this point. I'm going to like dip my fingers into this water before I like pinch in the salt, and I'll show you how I do that up close. So you just kind of like pinch it in there. I'm also gonna do some little folds here. Now I'm going to cover the dough, and you can already see she's starting to get like a little bit more jiggly, I guess you could say. Cover her with the lid, and we're gonna let her sit for around an hour, like 30 minutes to an hour, and then we will start doing some stretch and folds. Okay, so it is a little later. It's 6:09, and here's what our dough's looking like. It's getting pretty jiggly, but nice and smooth, which is what we want. She's a little sticky there. They're called stretch and folds. You really just like pick it up, let it hang down a little bit, and then let it kind of fold over on itself. Okay, and then we are going to cover it again and let it sit for 30 minutes to an hour. Okay, so it's been another hour almost. It is 6:58. Let's check on our bread here. Not sure. Okay, yeah, you can see there's like these little bubbles here. Those are awesome. That's what you want to see, because you know that there's gas in the dough. I'm actually gonna do some stretch and folds. This is like really sticky. Stretch and folds, which is pretty much what it sounds like. You're just stretching and folding the dough over. As you can see, there's like right there, that is a bubble, which is so awesome to see. So we're gonna cover it again and let it sit for maybe another hour, and then we will shape the dough. Okay, so it is 8:12, so an hour later, and here's what she's looking like, nice and jiggly. So I think I'm actually gonna shape it, because why not? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip over this bowl onto the counter and just kind of let gravity do its thing, so it can all fall out onto the counter there. Split the dough in half as best as we can. So then I'm just going to stretch out the dough a little bit, and we will fold it over itself, and then you roll it tightly into a ball, like so. So now that we have it rolled up, we're going to build some tension in the loaf, which is where you simply just push it and pull it, push it and pull it. I'm gonna get my proofing baskets out. I do like to put flour in the liner. I would recommend using rice flour, just don't have that right now. And then we're going to pop our dough. One in there. And the other one in here. Just pull it up a little bit. Let's do and pinch it so that it holds its shape here. So we are just going to use saran wrap here. So then I'm just going to set these out for a little bit, just until they get a little bit bigger in size at room temperature. And then before I go to bed, I will actually put those in the fridge overnight, and then in the morning we will get to baking. Good morning, everyone. It is currently 8 o'clock and I am going to preheat my oven to 450 and pop my Dutch oven in there to preheat with it. So I'm just gonna pull one loaf out of the fridge. I don't know if you guys can see, but there, oh, you can. Those bubbles, that is great. That's what we're looking for. So I'm going to get out some parchment paper, and then we're just gonna plop her down there. And whenever I take the dough out of here, I like to just leave this up so that it can kind of dry out. I'm going to take a bread loam or loam, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, and cut into the bread. I'm going to take some wheat stalks over here, and then I'm going to do one like deep score around the edge here, making it pretty deep so that those gases can escape. Pop off the lid. Our bread down in there, the lid back on, and into the oven she goes. Let's do 20 minutes in the oven and then we'll check on it. Okay, so I just removed the lid off of the Dutch oven. It was in there for 20 minutes and now it's going to kind of brown up in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, so don't mind the laundry going in the background, but I believe our bread is done. She looks gorgeous. So I'm gonna pull her out and we will let her cool down before we cut it to her. Okay, so it's about an hour later and I have 2 loaves of bread here. This one has been cooling for quite a bit, so we're going to slice into it. And there's our slice of sourdough bread. The crumb is pretty nice. I'd like it to be a little bit more open, but we're getting better with each attempt. So I just want to say thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it, maybe even learned something. But anyways, that's going to be it for today. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!